Um, this is the video made for and about people with disabilities. Disability. It is a physical or mental condition that limits a person's movements, senses, or actions or activities. It is a disadvantage or a handicap, especially one imposed or recognized by the law. A handicapped person is one who is having a condition that markedly restricts their ability to function physically, mentally, or socially. Handicap is a circumstance that makes progress or success difficult in normal terms and conditions. The disabled are at times referred to as the invisible minority in this country. According to the 2001 census, the government figure for physically handicapped was 2.1% of the entire population. A guess would place that figure between 7 to 10 crores, thus making persons with disabilities a countable part of the nation. In Bharat, several steps are being taken by the central government and the state governments. There is a national policy which identifies people with disabilities and made a basic goal to create an atmosphere for the people with disabilities in connection with the basic constitutional rights, that is, equality, freedom, justice, and dignity. The latest bill also guarantees equal opportunities for the people with disabilities. The primary objectives of the national policy include rehabilitation at various levels like physical rehabilitation, which includes medical treatment, counseling, provision of aids and appliances, etc. This comes under physical rehabilitation. And then educational rehabilitation, which offers occasional and on hand trainings for the people with disabilities. And there is economic rehabilitation to ensure a better and dignified life in society. India implemented the CPRD, that is Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act in 2008, which was enhanced by NCPEDP, that is the National Center for Promotion of Employment of Disabled People, and the DRG, that is Disabled Rights Group. The central government has envisaged a number of schemes to promote the standard of life of the people with disabilities in general. Some of the schemes are like assistance to disabled persons for purchase or fitting of aids, appliances, etc., involving physical rehabilitation of the people with various disabilities by providing them with aids and appliances. Next comes the DDRS scheme, that is the Deen Dayal Disabled Rehabilitation Scheme, a multifaceted scheme that addressing all the possible aspects of rehabilitation. And there are several schemes for implementation of Persons with Disabilities Act with reference to the provision of funds for projects involving construction of public buildings, support for the regional institutions that provide service to the people with disabilities, and creating awareness as such. Some of the steps taken by the Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment are like DRC, that is District Rehabilitation Center project, started in 1985. There are 4 regional rehabilitation training centers operative in Mumbai, Chennai, Cuttack, and Lucknow under the supervision of DRC's since 1985. There is National Information Center on Disability and Rehabilitation, National Council for Handicapped Welfare, and nation-level institutes NIMH, NIHH, NIVH, NIOH, and IPH. Then comes the adoption of the National Policy for People with Disabilities in 2005. Now, let us see the schemes and facilities provided by the central and state governments. National Institute for Hearing Handicapped, Disability Act, ADIP scheme, NHFDC, state government schemes central. There is a scheme of integrated education for the disabled children. This is a centrally sponsored scheme launched in 1974 by the Department of Social Welfare and after transferred to Department of Education in 1982. Under the scheme, handicapped children are sought to be integrated in normal school system. There is reservation for jobs for the people with the various disabilities. The government of India has reserved 3% of vacancies against identified posts in Group C and Group D for the disabled. The categories of handicapped persons benefited by this scheme are the blind, the deaf, and the orthopedically handicapped on 1% reservation for each category in the central government services, public sector bank, and government undertakings, for which there is age relaxation. The PH persons are entitled to relaxation in upper age limit up to 10 years for appointment to clerical and subordinate posts. They are also exempted from payment of application and examination fee prescribed for recruitment of clerical and substaff cadres in public sector banks and financial institutions. Regarding promotions in various jobs, the PH persons are not to be denied promotion on medical grounds if they are otherwise fit for promotion and can discharge the duties satisfactorily. Identification of the jobs for PH, that is physically handicapped people, is done in banks, etc. Regarding the posting of PH candidates, it is well aware that it has been decided by the Ministry of Personnel, Public Grievances and Pensions Department of Personnel and Training OM number 14017 oblique 41 oblique 90 SRR dated 10/5/1990 that in case of holders of Group C or Group D posts who have been recruited on regional basis and who are physically handicapped may be given posting as far as possible subject to administrative constraints near their native places within the region. Requests from PH people for transfer to or near their native places may also be given preferences. Now let us see how to avail job reservation. Special employment exchanges for the people with disabilities are set up in all state capitals and special cells for the handicapped is up in district headquarters through which circulation of vacancies for the handicapped in group C and D posts of state or central government is made. Handicapped who register for employment with special employment exchange or special cell will be intimated of the vacancy and sponsored for interview or selection, etc. Handicapped can avail the benefit through registering at these centers. Also, there are occasional rehabilitation centers established in 17 places throughout the country, Bharat, who also registers such cases for employment. Hence, it has to be carefully noted that all the handicapped shall register their names with such centers for employment. Now comes the topic about concessions under income tax and other concessions. Income tax concession. Section 80D, it provides for a deduction in respect of the expenditure incurred by an individual or Hindu undivided family resident in India on the medical treatment, including nursing, training and rehabilitation, etc., of handicapped dependents. For officiating the increased cost of such maintenance, the limit of the deduction has been raised. Section 80V. A new Section 80V has been introduced to ensure that the parent in whose hands income of a disabled minor has been clubbed under Section 64 is allowed to claim a deduction in terms of Section 80U, which provides for a deduction in case of an individual who is suffering from a permanent disability, including blindness, or is subject to mental retardation. Other concession. The Government of India have recently announced the following additional concessions for individual or Hindu undivided families which have a relative who is physically disabled, blind, or mentally retarded. Next comes provisional tax exemption. Handicapped persons are also exempted from payment of professional tax. He or she has to submit the disability certificate to the employer for such exemption. Kindly note this. There is also the facility of award of dealerships or agencies by oil companies to the people with various disabilities. Award of retail outlet 2 by 3 wheeler outlet, kerosene LTO dealership, and LPG distributorships. Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas has reserved 7.5 of percent of all type of dealership agencies of the public sector oil companies for physically handicapped, government personnel other than defense personnel disabled on duty, widows of government personnel other than the defense personnel who die in the course of duty. This is done on fulfilling some conditions and eligibility criteria. In addition to all the above, there is the provision of economic assistance to the people with various disabilities by public sector banks. PH persons are eligible to take loans under the scheme if they satisfy some of the conditions prevailed therein. Physically handicapped people or persons are eligible under DIR scheme for loan to purchase artificial limbs, hearing aids, wheelchairs, etc., subject to conditions. Under the scheme of financing small scale industries, a special provision has been made to allow concession in the interest to people with disabilities or the physically handicapped people availing working capital limit. For the above, contact the manager of any public sector banks or its subsidiaries for further details. This way, it is evident that the government in Bharat is sincerely putting in effort for the life enrichment of the people with disabilities. But the able bodied in the society also have certain duty towards the physically handicapped and the disabled other than just a word or two. Because disabled are like the wounded soldiers fought against the evils of nature and fate. Thank you. धन्यवाद.